Welcome to another episode of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. This podcast was designed to let you know that you aren't the only one that took forever to get it together. So the rabbit hole that you have stumbled down will hopefully help you understand that just when you think it's over, it's only the beginning. Just because you were dealt a bad hand doesn't mean you have to keep it. Welcome to the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast.
And what's going on, you guys? Another episode of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. It is your boy Terry, man. This is the Spin the Block. This is episode 6. And just to give you guys, I hope you guys have been listening and able to keep up and not have to do a lot of recapping in these episodes. But if I have to, I will. Now, we are at the point of the story where Strawberry has left. She's gone. This is in year 2009, I think it is. And she's gone, and, I'm left with the shambles of it all. I mean, we're talking about the shame of it all, the embarrassment. There was a lot of embarrassment that was going on or that happened. But this part of my life was really dark, right? And I'm thankful for a lot of people that were in my life at that point. We're talking about my eldest daughter. We're talking about my baby's mother. I'm not going to give her name, but those of you that know me know my oldest daughter, know her mother, but we don't have to give names out here. But if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have made it. So just to give you guys a little bit of backdrop, okay, this is where it's going to get really, 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 really nuts. And so I'm going to have you guys to stay with me here when I'm doing this. Now, before me and Strawberry broke up, and, I was in, I had a friend that was, let me get my music here. So I had a friend that I flowed with in high school, and we were really good friends, and we stayed friends as adults, right? So once me and Strawberry was on the verge of splitting up, we haven't really split up yet, but she was exiting, packing up and moving, and I had to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life, right? So this friend of mine, we've been friends forever and a day, so, I thought he was my support. I'm not going to give his name either. If anybody know this story that know me, just to listen to this, know who I'm talking about. But so I reached out to him, and he lived in Greensboro, which is about maybe an hour and a half where we lived in Charlotte. And so I reached out to him, and I was letting him know that, hey, I'm going to go through this divorce, and I'm going to go through all this bad stuff in my life. I needed support, right? And so he was like, man, you can always come and live with me, right? You can always come, and we can make it work, and, all that. So I ended up, so that was my contingency plan. That was my plan B. She was leaving. I'm going to go to Greensboro and live with my friend who's been my friend for, 20 plus years. So anyhow, I leave, and technically I left the house before Strawberry did. I know people would be like, oh man, you left her like to do all that. And, I did, because I couldn't stand the pain of watching her leave. So, or it could be selfishness, or it could be petty, or whatever I'm sure somebody's going to formulate an opinion and reach out to me and tell me, boy, you wrong for that right there. So I ended up, at this point in my life, I was, after that part, I steeped into a level of depression you guys would not believe, right? So I left, I went to Greensboro and lived with my friend. And my friend was, I don't know if he got to a Muslim, he started teaching or living in the Muslim lifestyle, things of that nature. And he was very tough on me. Now, I say tough love. I think it was, I think tough was an understatement. So I go and live with him. And when I tell you guys that I was in a state of depression that you would not believe, I became they call a hermit. And when I say hermit, I did not, I had my own room. Excuse me. I had my own room, and I had a PlayStation 2, and, I was kind of living my best life. I mean, not my best life, but let me rephrase that. I was existing at that point in time. And so when I tell you I lived a hermit lifestyle, I stayed in that room, did not leave out of that room. I was in there. Like, he had a girlfriend that they lived together and stuff like that. And I did not, they never saw me ever. The only time that I came out of that room was to either sneak something to eat or to go to the bathroom. And this is number two. We're not talking about, because when I was living in that hermit lifestyle, when I was in that level of depression, I would order out, or he would bring me something from a restaurant. And I would always get like the extra large sodas or whatever, the extra large drinks, just to keep the cups, because I was so low in my depression. And I'm not trying to be nasty or nothing like that, but I was so low in my depression at that point in time to where I didn't come out of the room, and I would actually urinate in these cups. I would urinate in these cups, so that way I would not have to go out of the room. Now, the next morning when he went to work, and when she went to work, I would come out and, empty those cups, of course, and stuff like that. And he had two big old pit bulls, and it was my responsibility to take care of the pit bulls because I wasn't working or anything like that. So in the morning, I would get up, and then he had the dogs in the house. And so the dogs would shit every fucking where. And, and it was my responsibility to clean all that up. I said all that to say this, is that I was just such in a bad way, like emotionally. And so it got to the point where I started drinking. Now, those of you that know me know I don't drink. But in that moment of my life, I was drinking vodka by the quart. I mean, it didn't matter to me because I just felt like I wanted to die because of the emotional battle that I didn't want to take. See, a lot of times, we enter into these emotional battles and we're not ready mentally. And it takes us for a loop. And that's exactly what happened to me, is that I was in this emotional battle because I lost something that I thought, that I held dear, even though I took advantage of it, even though I treated it like crap. But it took an emotional toll on me. So I was like, hey, I got to get out of this. I remember my daughter called me once, and she was like, hey, are you okay? You should come down here, chill out with us, And so they came, and they would pick like on the weekends, but I had been with him for maybe 3 or 4 months before that started happening. And so I started going down to visit my baby mama, and, my eldest daughter, spent time with them, their family. They really supported me in that time emotionally. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for them, I mean, I got to tell you, I'd probably not be here if it wasn't for them. But I would spend, weeks at a time with them because I did not want to go back to the hell that was, because that whole situation, it just seems like it felt like the seventh circle of hell. And I was in there, and I knew I was a hermit. I knew I didn't go anywhere. I had no motivation. I wouldn't go look for a job. I didn't have a car. And I just beat myself up every single day to the point where I'm trying to tell you, anybody's listening to this, I'm sure I got a few listeners that's gonna listen to this, and they're gonna call me, and they're gonna be like, man, really, was it really that bad? Yes, it was really that bad. Actually worse. It was like worse 2.0. That's how bad it was. And only because I didn't want to, and only because I did not want to face what had happened. So I lived with him, and it was just a terrible situation, and it got worse with him. And so there was one particular weekend, and this is how I'm going to end this here in a little bit. This is going to be a short one, but our situation ended just like this. Now, mind you, let's refresh it. Mind you, this man has been my friend for over 20 years, right? We went through hell together. We got in the car wrecks together. He was my guy, right? So this one particular weekend, we was out. He had some friends over, had Had a bunch of friends over there at a party, right? And I was still living that hermit lifestyle to where I didn't come out, I didn't really bother with people. And so he called me out this one weekend, and we had both been drinking. And he drunk. He was a professional drinker. I wasn't, so I couldn't hold my liquor. So he had been drinking, and he's showing out in front of his friends or whatever. He was like, I'm the man of this house. If you guys know, just a short break here. If you ever seen that comedy skit on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and the comedy skit was my roommate pay all the bills, that was him. He was very dominant, and would tell people of how the dominance that he had over me, because I allowed that to take place, because there was no man left in me. If I could be honest with you. And so this one particular weekend, he got drunk. He had a party, he had friends over, had about 5 or 6 people over there. And he was just belligerent out of his ass. He was just belligerent. And so he was like, no, Terry, come on in your room. You need to get your ass out of there. Da, 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 da. And so because of the peer pressure, I went ahead and came on out. And we were sitting down, we were playing video games. Now, it was a winter storm that happened. And so we go outside and we're playing football, and he's a very competitive guy anyway. And so I wasn't interested. And so because of this, he just really put the bully effect was on, right, that weekend. And so so what he did was he picked a fight with me in front of his people. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to fight you in front of these people. I don't know these people. I don't even know. Who is you? Where you come from? Like, why now you want to pick a fight with me? I get it. You're frustrated because I was lazy. I get it, right? But I never thought that it would come to blows. So he kept going. And so finally, after about 3 hours of getting bullied by this guy in front of his people, and all that, I was like, you know what? F this. If you want this, come get it. That's kind of how it was. And I just could not fathom, that it would come to that. So I didn't think, we had words, but nothing came to fruition right then, right? It wasn't until the people left that he decided that he wanted to get Brody, right? So next thing I know, he's picking a fight again. I mean, they're gone, and it's just me, him, and his girlfriend. They're gone. And so he picks a fight with me, and then, tells me, oh, I heard about you trying to holler at my girl, da, 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 da. And he just went, I tell you, belligerent to another level. Next thing I know, I went to the bathroom, and I come out of the bathroom. I'm walking back into my bedroom. The next thing I know, I can feel him running toward me. Because the house that we lived in was very unstable. It's like, it was like somebody picked the whole house up on a crane and dropped it, and the house was like split down the middle. You can feel the steep on both sides of the house. And so I'm walking to my bedroom, and so I'm on a downslope, and this dude literally jumps on me, and pounds me in the back of the head, and and it was just really, really ugly. I thought he was trying to kill me. The blows that he was trying to land, well, we talking about fist elbow combos, and I'm thinking, this dude gonna kill me. And I said, okay, enough. And then, he got off of me. What I'm saying? He like, get your shit, get out, da 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 da. And so in a moment of absolute embarrassment and amazement, like, dude, this has been my guy forever. And I cried like a little girl. Like, I cannot believe that this happened. So I remember calling my baby mom, and I remember her, can you come and get me? And I came, she came to pick me up, and her and my daughter, they came to pick me up, and I left this house, and I haven't spoken to or heard from or seen this dude since. And this has been since 2010. And I think I can live out the rest of my life without ever seeing him. Now, do I forgive him? Yes. But yeah, I can do without it. So I can really do without it. But this is the cautionary tale, is that it's very important that we learn how to handle our emotions. We need to learn how to deal with them, not just handle them, deal with them. Because it's one thing to handle them, because handling them is easy. Because I could put some shit on the back burner and be like, handle, right? But no, we're talking about dealing with emotions and being like, I can't take this from him. This man was my friend for 20 plus years. And for our friendship to end the way that it did, that's just, that's part of the course. But at the same time, I really can't blame him, because I can. Don't get me wrong, I can. But that was at the point in my life where I was lazy. And I did let my emotions get the best of me. And to a level, he was right. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like, man, don't let that woman do this. Don't let that woman do that. Now, mind you, and I didn't say that, I didn't mention this in the story, but every day that I lived with him, I was calling Strawberry on the phone. We spoke every day for a year after we split. And I know it was crazy, but he was mostly begging, when I called her, because she had moved on with her life. She had a new boyfriend, and she had moved on emotionally from me. But we would talk, and she would, I don't think it was more so her talking to me. I think for her, it was more of an appeasement to me to make sure that I did not spiral any less. All of that was just a misconstrued cornucopia of nonsense. I shouldn't have been calling her. I shouldn't have. That's what I'm saying. We have to learn how to deal with our emotions and face them as people, men and women. We have to, because we're taking stuff into new places. You can't do it, and it won't work, and it's gonna look real crazy for you if you try to take old trauma and old nonsense and bullshit into a new situation. When you're trying to walk out whatever it is that God had for you, and you still have old drama that you haven't dealt with, that's on you. That's on you. That's the thing that I had to learn. It took me years, and I walked that thing out, and it was hard for me because it took me years just to face what I had done. Not dealing with it, but just learning how to face what I had done. Listen, don't let it take you forever. This is the cautionary tale. Don't let it take you forever. Why is it taking you forever to do this? I get it. And my friend Tiffany tell me all the time, it's okay for you to feel this way. Your feelings are validated, right? But what you can't do, though, is to stay in that place. My daughter tell me that all the time. Dad, I love you. I don't want to see you hurting. Even what I'm going through right now personally and presently, I can't stay in this place because it's not going to help. It's not going to benefit me later. When I get ready to walk into another relationship, when I get ready to walk into new blessings that God has for me, I cannot take my old trauma. And we will absolutely take old drama into new mess and then wonder why it won't work. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is by definition of insanity. And there's some days I'm like, okay, God, what lesson am I supposed to learn here? Right? But going through that level of depression, going through that level of hurt, that, if I could be honest with y'all, that shit was self-inflicted. That wasn't nobody but me. Self-inflicted shit, because I didn't want to deal with the situation. It's easier for us to blame everybody and to put everything on the back burner. We have to get out of that mode, because there is a place that we're going. I say we, I'm talking about anybody that's listening to this. If you're going to a new place, you can't take old trauma. You hear people say all the time, you can't heal in the same place you got cut. It's true. We want to go and we want to deal with new blessings and still have the old nonsense. But let me tell you something. Them skeletons in the closet, they come back to bite. Yep, they sure do. So listen, this is episode 6 of Spinning the Block. It's your boy Terry. Listen, man, it gets, well, it doesn't get worse, but I do have some more stories to tell. So I want you guys to please please stay tuned. Share this out with the people. Let them know that this is a great guy. Named Terry. He's an awesome storyteller. Share this out with your people. Let them know where they can go and find it. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Facebook, and Podbean. If you have any questions for me, reach out to Knucklehead Chronicles Podcast at gmail.com. Again, this is your boy Terry Man. I love all of you guys, and I'm going to see y'all down the line.
Thank you for listening. I hope I didn't fry your brain too bad. Come back through and give me another chance. You can listen on all platforms and visit us at knuckleheadchroniclespodcast.podbean.com. Until next time, in the words of the incomparable Jerry Springer, take care of yourself and each other.